Hey, it's Mr. Allred here from math class, and we're going to talk about inequalities. We're going to do this in a couple of videos, but the topics we're going to cover along the way is, in this video, what is an inequality? And we're going to write the inequality in three forms, which is the inequality form, interval form, and put it on a number line. In separate videos, we're going to solve inequalities, and we're going to solve absolute value inequalities. So those are going to be our goals. So first of all, what is an inequality? Well, an equation is a comparison of two things using equal sign. Okay. Which means the two things are numerically equal. An inequality compares two quantities and assigns them an order. So that's where we'll see things like an inequality could be something like x is less than y. Okay, but there's a couple different symbols, and we'll go through the way they're used, but you should be familiar with these. We have the less than or equal to, greater than or equal to. And a lot of times people will learn certain tricks when trying to figure out how to work with an inequality, and those can be dangerous if you're not really paying attention, or you don't know all the rules, or you weren't taught them very thoroughly. So I just want you to take a look at inequalities and make sure you read them correctly. So read them from left to right, and you can interpret them in different ways, but 2 is less than 6 is the first one here, which is definitely true. Just because I write something down doesn't mean it has to be true, but that's definitely the way you would read it. The next one, 4 is greater than or equal to x. Something that is numerically equivalent to that would be x is less than or equal to 4. They're different statements, but they are pretty much equivalent statements, but you can tell that the inequality is pointing a different direction and the variable is on a different side. So just be aware of that and pay attention. Next, we have -3 is less than y, but it's a compound inequality, so y is also less than or equal to 7. This is where you might say y is between -3 and 7, or something along those lines. The next one looks more like a equation. It's the absolute value of 2x minus 4 is greater than 4. And then the last one, m, is greater than or equal to p. Okay. So once we kind of understand that, we want to kind of look at them on a number line. So we want to translate the statements we have into a number line representation. So here I have the example that we're going to work with where x is less than 5. And when we put it on a number line, we'll just go ahead and draw a number line and kind of talk through it. Whenever I draw my number lines, I just draw a line and put 0 in the middle, and then I put anything that's significant around it in the correct order. I don't try and take off 1, 2, 3, -1, -2, -3, because who knows how accurate I'm going to be as far as my spacing. But this says x is going to be less than 5, and I know 5 is to the right of 0, so my number line could look like this. Well, the kind of symbols I have to work with are, if I'm going to go all the way to the left or right, I have the arrows that would take me forever. If I have a soft stop, which is less than or greater than, I'll use parentheses to end it. And if I have a hard stop, which is a greater than or equal to, less than or equal to, I'll use brackets. So on my number line here, I want less than 5. So I'm going to take that 5 and I'm going to shade everything to the left of it going less than 5. And I'll put an arrow over here to show it keeps going. Now to show what's happening at 5, since it's just less than, I'm going to use a parentheses. Okay. Now a couple more examples I have here. I have 3 is greater than or equal to x. So I'm going to plug in 0. 3 is to the right of 0. 3 is greater than x. So all the values that we want will be less than 3. So 3 is greater than everything we want, it says here. So we want the thing smaller than 3. And since it says greater than or equal to, we'll use a bracket. Okay. The next one, -5 is less than x, and x is less than or equal to 7. So this is going to be a middle region. So -5 is less than x, so it's less than the numbers I want. That is a parentheses. And x is less than or equal to 7. That is a bracket with the equals to it. And I'll shade the middle part. The last one down here. Y is greater than 2. So 2 is to the right of 0. So y is greater than 2. So I want everything bigger than 2, and it keeps going. And then a parentheses for the greater than. Okay. So then I want to talk about interval notation. Interval notation does the same thing that the number line does, except it doesn't show you a physical number line. So when we see less than, greater than, less than equal to, greater than or equal to, we still use the brackets and parentheses. But instead of arrows showing it goes all the way to the left or right, we'll use negative infinity, positive infinity. So it will show us the start stop. So again, x is less than 5. So I'm going to draw a number line and do that first. I don't have to draw a number line first, but 0, 5 is to the right. So less than 5 would be a parentheses at 5 and everything to the left. So when I translate this graph, this number line, over to interval notation, the left side of it goes to negative infinity because of the arrow to the left, and then the right side stops at 5. Okay? And anytime I have an infinity or negative infinity, I'm going to use a parentheses because I can't really quantify infinity or negative infinity. I can't find the end position. Now on the other side it said less than 5, so I'm going to use a parentheses there. Okay, so parentheses, negative infinity to 5 parentheses. And as I said, if you're using, if you're using an infinity or negative infinity, make sure you're using parentheses, not brackets. So a couple of practice problems here. I'm going to draw the number line as we go because I'm going to eventually ask you to do all 3 forms. But x is less than or equal to 7. So I'll put my 2 places on the number line. Less than or equal to 7. So that's less than 7. So arrow to the left. Less than or equal to parentheses. So this translates to parentheses, negative infinity to 7 bracket. Okay. The next one, -3 is greater than x. Make sure you put the -3 to the left of 0. -3 is greater than x. So think about what that means. -3 is greater than what we want, so we're going to be going to the left of -3, and it will be a parentheses. So again, this will be parentheses, -3 to infinity. Excuse me, I got that backwards. Correction. Parentheses, negative infinity to -3 parentheses. The next one here, -8 is less than x, and x is less than or equal to 6. So -8 less than x, so -8 is the bottom number. Going up to x is less than or equal to 6, so that's a bracket. So it runs from -8 to 6. So interval notation would be parentheses -8 to 6 bracket. And one last one here. X is greater than or equal to 3, so we'll put 3 to the right of 0. X is greater than or equal to 3. So we'll be going to the right of 3 forever. So there's an arrow to the right of 3. and greater than or equal to, so we'll put a bracket there. So it will look like bracket 3, infinity, parentheses. And then you'll get some practice on this. Thank you.